And one special feature with livestock holdings in Botswana is that there's a mixture of very large commercial ranches, several hundreds of square kilometres, and also very small operators with herds of maybe a dozen cattle or even only 12 or so goats. And it's at the lower end of that scale that the impact of predation is felt most keenly, because if a leopard jumps into a kraal with 12 goats in it and kills 6 of them, which is not unusual, then that's a 50% tax on that guy's, both his capital holdings and his income. And nobody else pays 50% tax to preserve predators. Obviously, by cutting down on the propensity of leopards to kill livestock, that will cut the tax rate. But at the same time, there's a possibility that with various funding structures we can turn the leopards into a resource. And perhaps one of the simplest ways is to actually tap into a system that Botswana already has, whereby relatives tend to look after one another's cattle, is that we actually pay people to look after leopards. We say, we know you have leopards in your area. We will not only compensate you for all your goats, we will pay you extra on top of that, as long as you let the leopards stay there. And to monitor the existence of leopards is these days a fairly straightforward technical challenge. We can use camera trapping, we can use radio tracking, with, if necessary, satellite collars. That's a soluble problem. It's really a mindset thing, is that people have got this odd notion that the guys out there who are suffering the losses must just put up with it. And I think that mindset has to change among the people who are motivating for conservation. And we'd be looking at replacing the guy's income. Instead of looking after goats, he looks after leopards effectively. That's just one funding model. Another funding model would be to say, okay, well, you've got a thriving population of leopards in your area, which is costing you so much in goats per year. We will buy one leopard from you. As long as the overall population stays about the same, we will take off one leopard as a hunting target, and we will compensate you for more than your goats were worth. That's an alternative funding model for the same thing. The end effect is the same. You have a population of leopards where otherwise the guy would be shooting or poisoning them, because there is no way to expect people to support 50% and 30% losses to large predators. It's just completely unreasonable. Now, the large commercial operations, they've got larger herds, so a given offtake is less of an impact. But they've also got the cash flow to have herders in attendance with the cattle, which makes a significant difference. And so there, the funding for tolerance would probably be slightly different, in that it would need more to be putting a cash value on individual animals. But for instance, for wild dogs, they're a quite significant problem on the cattle ranches. For the one cattle ranch that gets wild dogs denning on it, most of the year wild dogs are mobile. They move around. They'll go 10, 15, 20 kilometres in a day. They'll kill a cow on one farm, and they're 3 farms away the next day. They kill another cow, maybe. Typically they won't kill one full-grown cow a day. Say one every 2 to 3 days. But the load is spread, and the farmers are remarkably tolerant of that. They see that as part of the price of living in the bush. But when the wild dogs are denning, they kill a cow from the same farm every day or so. And that's a huge cost. But if you tot up the value of the cow on the land, so in other words, not the slaughter value at the abattoir, but what's it worth on the farm, and the number of cattle that a pack of wild dogs can be expected to kill in a denning season, it turns out you'd need to pay the farmer somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 per puppy, because wild dogs raise about 12 pups a year. $1,000 to $1,500 per puppy is about the same as the mid-range of the charge per night for an Okavango tourist lodge. So it is not huge money. It is definitely doable. It's a mindset thing. We definitely need to start paying the landowners, the people who live on the land. We need to, 1, compensate them, and 2, make it profitable for them to have the wildlife on their land. How that funding flows will depend. Some of it can be hunting, some of it can be phototourism based, others can be purely reward based. And whoever claims to be interested in wildlife conservation can be pumping money into that system.